Hey there, this is Jonathan Munsell. This is an excerpt video from a fantastic conversation I had with soon-to-be partner of mine on an area very close to where I live personally. And Jimmy agreed that we could share it with the world. So here goes. This is one of the best videos I've done where we've been able to get out the explanation of how this all kind of works and how to make money in this business. Okay, so we're talking about a partnership model, and these are the financials for that.
Location model with mobile?
This is, yeah, because at the very least, I think that, if we just did mobile, we just had a couple mobile vehicles, but I think what's going to happen is if you're here and you're eager and this is like your main business, then I think we can grow this thing very quickly, add vehicles. Because when I look at the mobile model, that's 2 vehicles to me. Okay.
Yes.
Where I think very quickly we will have more than that. It's just the way it is. It's for it to make money, you'll want to grow it as quick as you can anyway. I think you'll end up, and then I'm working with Fenton right now, which is that big, beautiful place over there. And that
Sure.
easily, that alone could do 300,000. Then you can add a mobile on top of it. You can add 2 mobiles on top of it. These numbers go up pretty quick and you would land at this airport model pretty quickly. So, all the models apply. So I just want to show you a couple pieces of it so you understand when I'm looking at the numbers, what I'm specifically looking at. Okay. So when I see here the right products, so revenue's up to us. We got to go get the revenue, right? So we got to spend money, we got to market. But again, we already have a foothold here. So I could turn it on and turn it up so easily. I travel too much to operate it myself, but I'm here enough to really help. Okay. So you end up in like the best position of anybody because you're in my town or in my area and you and I can kick ass with this thing. So that's how I feel. Okay.
That's great. That's great.
So that's personally what I believe. I believe if you came here and this was your Monday through Friday, it's really probably Tuesday to Saturday. I mean, you were just on it. And when I think about an owner and an operator for one of these locations, I don't think about a guy washing cars. The way that I operate them is it's your job to make sure that we have people that can do the services, that are trained, and we get the vehicles out every day. Okay. If we have a location, we make sure that the location's open, it's perfect, it's great, and we operate that every day. So what happens is you get the vehicles and the people out, and then they have schedules. They're going to a building and they're going to be there for most of the day. And then maybe after that, they're going to go and they're going to stop at a dealership and do some work there. And then they're going to finish their day. They're going to do $400 to $600 on a vehicle. They're going to make 30%, and the rest comes to us to pay for the stuff that's on here. So when I look at it, I look at the product cost runs about 7%. That's like our standard. Vehicle cost, when I look at it, really is around financing vehicles. So that's building in some vehicle cost into that we could finance a vehicle. So it's estimated at 5%. So I imagine you're pretty good with Excel. If you click on the thing, you can see the formula.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So if I went over here and I said, this equals this divided by 12, that's $866 a month. Very easily, a couple vehicles, probably 3 in that number. Okay. Technician labor's fixed for the most part. Technician labor, they get a percentage of their revenue on the actual truck. Okay. So they
It's
go
like
and do $100, they get $30. They do $200, they get 60. They do 300, they get 90. Plus they get tips. they do very well. And then we build in some things for them where they're able to, like, if they get their revenue up, because you want that truck to make more money because your other costs are pretty fixed on it. So if they can get that vehicle to $600 a day, we give them like 2% more. They can get that vehicle to 700, we might give them 3%. So that may fluctuate a little bit, but again, not a lot, not enough to affect really the bottom line. And it's built in here at some level. So I'll show you. Okay. So
Just one
I
question.
usually, when I look at all this all in, I usually estimate 42% and 8%, and my gross profit is 50. So usually I don't have this vehicle cost is usually not a number that's in there. Okay. I usually budget labor at 42. So 42 includes the technicians as well as a supervisor. So somebody that's going to make sure it opens and closes. But as the owner or as a partner, our job is to keep our heads up, look at where the buildings are and what's available to us, and go after getting more buildings, getting them busier. So it forces us to get more vehicles and like really press the business. So that's how I look at this from a business owner standpoint. Are there days that we're going to go and help out and we're going to be involved? Yes. Or are we going to help train them? Sure. Are we going to, do I go and do, work on cars? Yeah, I do, because I want to keep my edge and I want to be good at it. And I'm involved, but I'm not washing cars every day. These white shirts don't stay white by themselves. So, but it's part of the business. It's a labor driven business. I go, and if I see somebody working and they're not doing it right, I'll stop them and train them and help them. It's just how it is. So I see a lot of that. If we get Fenton will be a mainstay. Fenton will be where your guys will go every day. They'll get their vehicles and they'll go out from Fenton. Same way we treat Atlantic Station in Atlanta. They all go to one place. You have a schedule, all these buildings and places they need to go, and they're out. And then once they're out and they're going and they get to the building and they're doing work, then from there, it's okay, they're at this building. I'm going to go and check on them. Then I'm going to look around at all the other buildings that are around here. And I've been meaning to talk to that person and that person. I'm going to do a little bit of research. I'm going to find the property manager. I'm going to go kick in doors. Some days I'm going to go back to the office and I'm going to build more lists and email and start to call people. It's just, and then they work. So from 10 to 2, they're out. You're in the office and where you schedule yourself, you block where some days you're going to take meetings, some days you're going to do office work. And maybe it's you go home and see your wife for lunch. I don't know, whatever it is. So that's like what I see. And then in the afternoon, right, they come back, right? You send the birdies out, the birdies come back, ideally with cash in their hands and success stories. And so if you have a supervisor, then the supervisor's job is to check the trucks, make sure they're perfect, and make sure everything's restocked for the next day. Everybody knows the schedule for the next day. And, hey, great guys, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, and you roll. Okay. Are there days that you might step in and be that guy because the other guy, he's not going to work 7 days a week. He might work 5. You might step in for a couple of days and just be there. Sure. That's like very natural to do. It's not hard work. It's really about being a good owner, and you just hold the standard. We have a checklist for everything. No, I learned it this way. This is how we're doing it. I don't care what he said. This is how we do it. And then that's it. They go home, right? So when you look here, in here, we have like an extra 10% built into labor, but I just told you that there's labor dollars that are essentially tied up in vehicle costs, because I built this spreadsheet to show people that they could finance this thing. They could make the management labor if that labor went directly to them. And then they also made a profit. That's somebody that's going to make, and this is off of what I think are light sales. Okay. 208,000 is not a lot. That person's going to, even after they pay marketing, this includes rent. Okay. And rent is one of those things we don't pay rent everywhere. So that rent number is really designed if you had a fixed location, you might have rent, but if you're just going to buildings, those buildings traditionally don't charge us rent. So the rent number is a little squishy. And so there's a little bit of money left in there. Utilities, telephone, all this stuff it's built so it shows all of the stuff being paid for and taken care of. Repairs and maintenance, things are going to break. Insurance, you got to insure your stuff and make sure that everybody's legal. The bank commissions and fees are really figured off of credit card fees for processing. Laundry, if the place is good and you got a fixed site, then laundry is done there. Like you buy a washing machine. You shouldn't even really dry microfiber towels because they can get hard. It's got almost like a plastic in them, so they can burn. And so you actually don't even need a dryer, but it's nice to have. Go buy a washer and a dryer for $200 at Habitat for Humanity, like a place that people donate stuff. And if I had to do this, so this is what I always go like this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this number. I'm going to divide it by 52. That's $50 a week in laundry. Okay. I'll tell you right now, we spend like $20 a week in laundry at a busy place. And if we either have a service that picks it up or the guy takes all the towels, goes to the laundromat, pumps some quarters in, comes back, goes and picks them up, moves them to the dryer for a little bit, and then brings them back. And you give them 2 rolls of quarters, have a nice day. Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost that much. Office expense, like another one, when you start dividing some of this stuff by weeks in a year, $45 a week, what are you buying? Paper and ink for a printer? There's not really a lot of that. So there's a lot of fluff in here, and it's designed to be realistic and to protect whoever's looking at this, to protect them. Employee related expense, that's the one that's, I allot 2%. That's almost the overflow on like the technicians getting their extra little bump. So it's built in that way. So at that rate, if you ran a tight ship, at the end of the day, there's an operating income of say 35,000. And if we were partnered on it, obviously we would split that at the end of the year. We'd look at the EBITDA, we'd say, okay, at the end of the year, we're going to split this. So the question is really how quickly can we grow, or how quickly can we get to this like location model where there's more money to split. In this scenario right here, I'll tell you right now, for me, sorry, this is how I would look at all of these models if I were you. Okay. Especially as like an operator guy. Let's go here. Let's go over here. Okay. So you're essentially looking at this, which is 50% plus this. Okay. Because if you're going to be the management guy and you're going to be running it, and then it's how much can you squeeze all of this. Okay.
Yeah.
And this, I'm telling you right now, this number right here, there's no effing way that we're going to pay $29,000 in rent. I'll be surprised if it's 12,000.
Okay.
I already told you, laundry's not going to be this. You got cushion here, you got cushion here, and you definitely have some cushion up in here. It just depends on what we decide to do with vehicles. And if you're coming in as an E2, then I would apply some of the dollars that you invest into vehicles. So the vehicles will be paid for. So look at it that way. Okay. So how about this? So now so imagine like this goes away because the vehicles, the first couple of vehicles are going to be paid for. I have 3 vehicles sitting here right now that are doing nothing. When vehicles aren't expensive, like that's the one thing about the whole model that I love is, and this, look at this, it's putting in 35% for technician labor because you have a fixed site. There's some variable with if it's not busy and the guy's standing around type of thing. So it's got some fluff in here in a couple different places that I think are pretty critical to understand. Now, the other model is that we hire a manager, okay, and it's completely an investment for you. And in that case, you'd be at like that number.
Yeah, 35.
You'd probably pay this guy 40, so that would come down a little bit, but that's really us managing it from afar and really pushing the guys to be better and stronger. And this is how I look when I'm looking at the financials. This is how I look. And still, I'm telling you, this is a soft number. If you have a fixed site and mobile in this market, like that's going to be a lot higher. If I look at it, I'd probably say it's going to be like this. If I had to guess. And that's putting you at 10% here. We would come up with a number if you're going to be sharing in the profit. But say we made this, and I'm just going to change it on here for argument's sake. Say you had a base, and then you're going to get profits. Heck, you can get your money back in a year.
Yeah, the ROI is really fast.
Yeah, and this is like, when I'm looking at the financials as me and I'm investing, looking with a partner, this is how I look at the numbers, because this is what I would expect to see. As a franchisor, I have to be very conservative, and we don't even disclose this level of detail unless it's in under the guise of a partnership. There's big assumptions that say you're going to look at item 7, it's called, and there's a range, and you're going to make your assumptions, but these are the assumptions. And if you go down here, it explains all my assumptions. All this stuff is explained, and then I show the difference between financing vehicles versus buying vehicles outright.
Okay. We have the estimated startup cost with the
And this is
finance
even
fee.
lower, by the way. Hold on, let's look at this. So that's lower because my franchise fee is only 30,000. The vehicle wrap and upfit, right? This is if you bought them outright. Up here, it looks like that. If you finance them, you basically be paying for the vehicle, like the wrap and all that kind of stuff. This also includes delivery. We don't have delivery. They're like local delivery. Okay. That comes down a bit. This number here, FF&E, 22,000 is a lot of money for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The biggest thing in here is allocation of key exchange. So you want to have some, but you don't need 1 million of them. So that number to me is to do Atlantic Station, all the signage and branding and paint and everything. We spent probably 10,000.
Oh, that's okay. So it's like the 50% of what you have for F&E.
Yeah, it just depends on what's available. Like what's there. What are they giving us that you go into a place and it was built already for a car wash facility and they got lights and things. What's it cost? It costs paint and some logos and things like this. Some signage costs you some money, but still not incredibly high. Your supplies for detailing, that's like your initial order. In this number is also that for the vehicles. So there's a little bit of a double dip there in showing that number. Technology, that's probably about right. And this all ties back to here. Let me show you what this gets built from. It's mobile. I gotta save this thing somewhere else for you. Oh, I know what this is. So we have this thing here where we like publish stuff for people to use. So I forget what it's called. Yeah, so launch and upfit. This is where this gets built from. Okay, so now you're seeing way inside baseball. So I don't share this ever until you're like a licensee or a franchisee or a partner. So this is, okay, so this is the master location launch and upfit. So this whole thing is built and designed to get one of our businesses open. And let's go. Can you see it? I just want to make sure you can see it. Okay. So if you look, there's tabs all along the bottom, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to walk you through them quickly because, again, I'm probably going to share this video with some other folks just so they can see it, but I also don't want to give away all my treats. We have a planning meeting, very organized. We set a goals, we set our agenda, we take into account all these different pieces, and we plan out like all of these things to get the place up and running. Okay. We have a location information form. This is where we start putting information in. So if I got a guy out in California, the guy in California is like adding information as he goes. And then if we have to send him equipment, we go in here and look for it. We don't even need to contact him. We can go in here and find the address. Okay. And then there's launch by timing. Okay. And this is weeks before opening. Okay. So I go through and I look, and there's all these different pieces. Competitive analysis and getting the tax, the business, all these things that need to happen. Okay. So once we get this all assigned, we then copy this entirety of the thing. We go over here and we actually put it in by category. See this? Like administrative. Yep. It's like, who's got what? Okay. Who's doing FF&E? Bobby's doing FF&E. Great. Bobby, go. This is all your stuff. Go knock it out. Or if you hire that manager, okay, you hire the manager 2 weeks out, a manager's name right here. Get this stuff set up. Okay. Then we have digital footprint. So this is all the pieces that we put together for marketing and everything you need like to be successful. And there's all this kind of cool stuff that we do and we put together and connect and to give you like this big presence. Right. We have some sales projections in here. And this is basically, so this is, okay, so here, this is a different version of the financials than you've seen already. Okay. So remember I was telling you that I look at the numbers a little bit differently.
Yeah.
This is designed for like public consumption. This is not how ProntoWash per se looks at it. This is how the industry should look at the numbers. Okay. ProntoWash looks at the numbers differently. I'm looking at things like this, and this is just, this isn't real. This is like the master that we can play with. But I'm looking at what can we do? If I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to say this equals this times this, right? And this, okay. So remember I told you I look at it as my gross profit is 50%. These numbers match pretty well. Like this is only 2 vehicles, so you don't have a ton of advertising cost on 2 vehicles. But if you're starting a new business, you definitely want to have some like grand opening. That's why I always tell people to put 10,000 in there. This has a management fee, and we talk about it as management labor, but it's the same thing. But it depends on if somebody's running this business and they're not under a management contract with a company, be it, we used to have ProntoWash management, it used to operate businesses. If you look, I'm already budgeting an extra 12% up here in labor. So this would go away, okay? We pay about $300 a month for software as a service, $300 a month for marketing software as a service, marketing as a service. So those numbers are in there. And we budget about 2% in there. Now, if you look at a location,
okay.
Now I'm looking at it and it's like 57. How is that so different than here? When I look at the mobile, when I go here and I look at just the mobile, that's only 35 on this one, right? 36.
Yes.
But I know the reality of the situation that it's usually more like this. Okay.
Okay.
So, because again, I buy vehicles outright. People usually, if they invest out of the gate and they're putting down money, we buy vehicles and there's no vehicle cost, any of that stuff. So the thing cash flows. And then this even shows like if somebody wanted to be an investor and have a fixed return, here's a 10% return on their money. If they put in 200,000, they would get 20,000 a year on a fixed return. This is their investment here. And that's an option. I've done all kinds of deals in the past. That's an option. If somebody wants to put in 200,000 and be a 50% partner and get a 10% return, they can do that. Now we look here. We have this use of funds. This is where you look at, here's like a whole thing on like market masters. Like some of this stuff is like inside baseball. But I'll show you what it looks like if you had a territory, right? Obviously there's, if I'm doing this myself personally, I don't have a license fee. I already own tons of vehicles. I don't have some of these expenses. I have some of these other expenses that are going to happen no matter what. I can get the cost down to about 100,000.
Okay.
Okay. But here's the cool thing. So this is like when I'm looking at it, I look at it like this. If you're doing it for your first time, it's going to take you longer. You're going to have to figure stuff out. Like it's going to cost a little more. That's why I tell people to, when they're looking at it, look at these numbers. So this one's a little bit more. It's got 20,000 extra dollars in it. And it's just, it's got some op expense and stuff. Like it's really designed to protect them in their assumptions.
Yes.
I still put op expense in there. I put it in at 15. If I'm training people, if we're training people, we're not going to have the same training expense. It's like internal, company owned. So look at this almost as like company owned versus external.
Yeah.
Okay. And now here's the cool thing to look at, which is if we owned a territory, so say we owned the entirety of the Raleigh market, 1 million people, and we were selling additional franchises, and say we sold 4 franchises. So this is the model of like the territory guy is what I'm explaining to you now.
Yes.
So if we did that and we sold 4 franchises, that would be $40,000. Their revenue would be 208 per. So when I look at it, if we sold it, we would have 160,000 in franchise fees. We'd have 50,000 in royalties. We would split this.
Okay.
That number, you see that?
Yes.
So this is if we had a full territory. So this is more of the territory model.
So franchise. So as an example, we're talking about the territory about Raleigh, for example.
Yeah, any territory. So think about this, okay? And this is the difference a little bit is I showed you the difference in the numbers. I showed you the difference of kind of like internal versus external.
Yeah.
When you look at it from this territory model, a territory person is going to have lower expenses also, because if they open their own and they're splitting the franchise fee, and right, even said it's 30, which is fine. Like I lowered it. So it's 30, let's go 30. Okay. So if I had a territory and say I open 4 myself and keep them, I don't have to pay that other half of the license fee.
Yeah, the license fee. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's $15,000 I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay 6% on royalties. I essentially would pay 4%. So that's why the territory is so valuable, because one, if you operate it yourself and you internalized it as like a company expense, you reduce all your costs. But if you sold franchises inside of your territory, so you go and get Fenton, right? And in Fenton, it's a good business, but you decide you want some cash. You put in money and invest it in the territory. You're here now, and heck, you guys are going to buy a house. And so you could take Fenton and we could sell it, and you could sell it and split the license fee and split all the royalties and not have to do any of the work per se, because that would be a true franchisee.
Okay.
So that's where like the model, it's very interesting for people to see, because And we know that the numbers are soft. So we know the numbers are higher than this.
Yeah,
So
so conservative.
yeah, they're conservative, right? 208 in revenue, even franchisee, that's like year one. Okay. What happens in year 2, 3, 4 when it keeps going up? So this model shows really, this is like a 50, this is like what the territory model looks like. So if somebody invested, I think the territory is 200,000. Somebody invests 200,000 in a territory and they go and they start their first unit and they start making money. We already showed that they're going to start making a significant amount of money already. But then if they also turned around and sold franchises in their territory, they'll make more. But I like the combination of the two because the odds of you having the entirety of the territory boxed up perfectly. So I like to have a territory, and if I build one up and it's good and I get a rock star deal on it, I might sell that as a franchise, but I might keep like everything in between. I might sell this building, that building, this building, but I may keep some of this other pieces of it as the main entity that's operating. And this is ultimately what you and I are going to build and form into is this. But to keep your initial investment in the right range for you and your family, we're going to start out with a smaller area and then we'll build it so you have first right, have first right of refusal to take a different territory. So we decide we're going to do the Raleigh area, but we decide later we want Chapel Hill or Durham or Holly Springs. Guess what? We get the first option on that before anybody else. And that's really just designed to help you guys keep your initial investment down.
Yeah.
Now think about this. If this is the territory model, I'm going to make it UNC blue for you.
That's good.
And I'm going to make the really good. I'm going to make the really good one Duke blue for me.
Okay.
So the market model, similar but different. So the difference is you still have essentially, let me see here. What's my percent? So I'm dividing by 2, 6. It's a little bit like it's a little bit lower. I think like when the new area developer deal that we're doing is here. Let me put it real quick while I'm here, and let me show you the different models so you can see them simultaneously. And since we're recording this, it'll be good for everybody else. So I'm going to go to get ProntoWash. Okay, so we have a big overview. And anybody watching this, if they click the link for the overview and they're here, if they click this little arrow down here, do you see this? Like at the bottom of the page?
Let me check. I'm moving
on the screen.
Bear with me.
I just want to show everybody. There's a little tiny like download arrow at the bottom of this thing. It's tough because I have my bar on my Mac down in the same area. So anyway, there's a little download button here. So anybody watching this and they get to the flip book and they don't want to look at it as a flip book, if you hit the download button here, it'll give you the PDF version of it, which is much easier to see on a phone or anything like that. Now you can go and you can say, oh, okay, cool. Now I can flip through the slides.
Yeah.
Jonathan's team's nuts in making crazy graphics and showing us all this cool stuff. I just want to get to the data. So on your phone, this is the easy way to do it. Okay. Yeah. So I'm here, right? I have this. So here's that item 7 I told you about that explains the uppers and lowers of the business. Here's traditional franchise, either fixed or mobile. And then it explains the cost associated with it. Then I get here and we're talking about the area developer. So this is like your territory deal that we're talking about that we were looking at. So this is, if I'm over here, this is like an area or like a territory model. Okay. And that's with the ability to resell franchises.
Franchises, yeah.
Yeah. And this, that's the total times 6%. And I'm going to go equals this times 2%, because that's what the area model is. Okay. That's off the area. Let me go and show where I got that information. So everybody goes nuts. Okay. When I look at the area, I'm looking here and I'm going to receive 50% of all future franchise fees and 2% of the monthly royalties. Okay. So that's why that's what I'm showing when I'm showing this on this other sheet that we're using. So that's what if you're an area person and you had 4 different franchisees in your area, you're going to make that off of selling those 4 locations. Plus you're going to have your own, which we showed over here in the sales projections. You might have 1, you might have 2, you might have 3 yourself. So that works really well. So I like that model, particularly myself. I like that model. Now we have the market model, and the biggest difference with the market model is all of this is the same, but now imagine that you're going to sell. So now imagine you got a big market, right? You're going to sell 4 territories. Territories, or the area model that we're talking about, that model's $200,000 to do. Well, so if I have 200,000 here, so this, so 4. Okay, so now I'm going to have 800,000 here. What happens is I split that 50-50. If you split that with the franchise, so divided by 2. Okay, so if you sold that, you'd have that just in the territory stuff. You would have, again, territory, like you're going from big, like the market is the biggest, then you have areas and territories in there, and then you have franchisees, right? So there's 3 steps to it. If I had a market and sold 4 territories and the 4 areas and territories did all of this, then essentially I would say, okay, then I'm also going to get this, and I'm also going to get, let's do this. So I don't do stuff on the fly. Okay. Okay. This. I know I was right in the first place. So that's 4. Oh no, but we're going to have 4 territories. So it's a multiplier of 16, really. Okay. And, okay, so that's all correct. So I got 200,000. I'm just going to switch where this is because I'm going to show you one other model different. So I'm going to say in this column, I'm going to do 400,000 because it's the 4 territories, 200,000. So this is like 50% of that license fee.
Okay.
So you're getting 50%. So if I had the market of, say, Atlanta, we broke Atlanta up into 4 territories. The 4 territories each sold 4 franchises. And remember, this is off of really soft revenue. As a market master, over the course of just a couple of years, I would expect that I would get this plus any revenue that I get off of my own company-owned things that were in the in-between. Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, if I'm buying Atlanta and I go in and I do it, then they're under this model, which is the next one, the market master, and that market master fee is 500,000. So the thing that happens for them, which is cool. So it's 500,000 for the market master. And then if they open any company-owned stuff, they only pay 20,000. And they pay 4,000 per unit for if they add mobile vehicles over and above the 2 that come with each one. So they get a break anyway. So even on their own stuff, like in their market, they get a break over and above even what their franchisees get. Because they're, and then, so that's that model, right? Now the other one, which is essentially a partner model, you could take any one of these, and this would be a 50-50 partner. You could take any one of these and essentially just divide it by 2. And that would be, that's what you would expect if we did a bit. If you were a partner on a market with me, you would look at that kind of return over the course of the first couple of years, and then ongoing residuals off of all of this stuff forever. And it depends on the size of the market, what we charge for that. But that's like that's an investment model. You're not working. That is just, you're putting down cash, and it's a handshake. And then you're onto this, which is, it's somewhere between 300 and 500,000. But what we do is we take whatever we decide, we take 50% of it and directly apply it to operations. And 50% of it goes towards the building of the partnership and the company that is actually going to run it and do it. Comes back to the franchise in that scenario. But again, you get 50% of all your area developer agreements, all your franchise fees, all the royalties, all the way down the line. We split them in that kind of partner company. So essentially what we're talking about is we're looking at like an area territory type arrangement, you and I. But we're going to grow into it. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're really we're doing like a franchise partnership. But my goal with you is that we're going to grow that into an area territory model, because I think you're going to be super successful, and I'm going to ride on your back for a while.
Okay. By your experience, how much time does it going to take for us to get there? By your experience and what is going on actual economy, taking in consideration inflation and the recession. Based on that, how much time would you think that it's going to take for us to get there? Okay, so I'm going to answer that question. I just want to show everybody else just one thing about this spreadsheet and where these numbers come from. Okay. So and then I'm going to answer that question because that's the next thing to talk about. Okay, so if you're on this sheet, okay, and you click here, like every one of these things in blue is a link to, and I'm going to go through this quickly because this is like my stuff, okay? And I share it with the franchisees, but this is like what the build out and everything costs in our business. But each one of these, like there's everything that it costs to build one of these things is all in here, and they all scroll down. You can see every bit of it. And the cool thing is it's all linked. So if you go here and you go back, it'll take you right back to that. But I don't share this unless somebody has a deposit down and we're working on a deal. So if anybody's watching this, that's how it works. But you can get some better understanding because you can look at this. And when I look at this, this is really what I look at. So here's what I see in like Atlanta as a 50% partnership. This is what I look at. I dropped it too low. Okay. So it's a little bit of the older book, so it'll be slightly different. But so the cool thing is that whenever I build this stuff, like this is very specific for Atlanta. So I have this for San Francisco, Miami, Houston, Dallas, broken out. Talks about this. It talks about the actual model and how it works. It talks about what the real plan is for the market and how we're going to go and we're going to dominate it. This one specifically talks about Atlanta, Atlantic Station, which we already have, third largest parking structure in the United States. Talks about the different pieces of business and what we're going to do to get that business. Talks about mobile a bit so people understand. And then it starts to look at the demographics of the market, right? So this page here this is the 5 to 10 mile loop from Atlantic Station, shows you how many people. And here's the summary of it. Okay. Yeah. So you can see what the estimated population is. So a 10-mile radius, 1 million people. 10 miles is nothing. That doesn't even get you outside this loops that you see here, right? All of this is Atlanta. But it shows you like really good demographics. We put all this together whenever we build one of these market partnerships. But then I go and I start showing the numbers and what they look like. And if you look at the number model, it's built off of the second one I showed you, not the first one. Okay, because this is what I look at. So this shows it's got assumptions in here. It's like, okay, we're going to spend money, we're going to get this going. And it starts to look at what happens on the proceeds and how they split when you start doing
You'll see these year 1, year 2, year 3 stuff. If I'm the market partner and we do only 6 units, this is not territories, by the way, this is just 6 franchises. You're going to get 150 over the course of 5 years. You're going to get at least $450,000 back over 5 years, but that's not including the selling of that's just on operations. So this is if we owned it and operated ourselves and didn't sell a single franchise, okay, in Atlanta. So it's really important. This is owner operated, but the reality is that we don't do it that way. We actually sell franchises and we operate as well. So then this shows a little bit of fixed site, and then it shows my market expansion projections for the market of Atlanta. So same thing for you here. We'll work on this a little bit to get an idea, like, okay, we're going to start with a mobile and a fixed site. What do we project to add? What do we think we're going to do? And then what does that look like over time? Right now, the model for us is, it's really looking at the single unit model and saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. But if we can drive revenue, we can double revenue, then we can more than double. That's important, right? When you double revenue in a scenario like this, and you have a lot of fixed costs, all this like marketing costs and stuff like that are fixed. It's not percentage based, right? These are like SaaS is $300 a month. Well, it doesn't matter if you do $1 million or you do $1,000 in sales, it's $300. So when you have fixed costs like that, you drive revenue, you drive bottom line. That's how numbers work. I'm sure I'm telling you something you already know, but I do like to say it for all those else that we might share this with. Okay, so then I start to look at, if I took the model and I'm going to really grow out Atlanta and we're going to really push this thing, we're going to end up with 18 units. We're going to have fixed sites, we're going to have mobile. It'll give us all this kind of mix. What does that look like? And this still does not include selling areas or territories for 200,000 and splitting that. This is what I would project for a market like Atlanta to grow out and EBITDA off of just straight operations. Now, if I know Atlanta like I do, and I know I'm going to sell at least 4 territories, you basically take this number and you go back and you add this number to it if you're doing it by yourself, or this number to it if it's a partnership, and then that's your return. Does that make sense what I just did there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because people will ask me later. But basically, I'm looking at these numbers, and I can make them bigger. And I'm saying, okay, if we just did this company operated ourselves internally, and then I easily, and growth internally amongst itself with only a $500,000 investment. And this is annual returns, right? This is not cumulative. This is annual, very important. So, when I look at this, it's like, okay, so you can really ramp this sucker up. Now take on top of that and say, even if I sold 3 territories, 4 territories, how quickly can I sell those and help those grow? I get into this stuff over here, which is, it's just added on to that, which I think that's the thing that people, when they're talking about it and they're looking at the models and they're trying to understand the difference between them, it's really what I showed, and the difference of, that's the partnership, right? That's the market master. This is an area developer. Okay, now area developer, that's, if you ever hear me reference like territory, it can fall in the same vein, because it's really about getting like surface area, right? You want to lock up that like market as much as you can. People come to me all the time at different financial situations, and they might be a franchisee that has this model, and they might have a zip code. But they come and say, hey, I know I'm going to grow, and what can I do for 100,000 if I want to put that down to get area, so that you can end up in some cases between these two, where you have this kind of fixed 200,000 versus something that's a little bit flexible. And that's just because I'm willing to do it and I understand the business so well. is the only reason that I even entertain it. Otherwise, it'd be like, oh, it's built off of population. It's 1 million people. It's $200,000. If it's more than that, then great, you got it. Go for it. That's what you need to do, and then you need to develop it. So it's 200,000, and then you got to like figure you're going to spend at least another 100,000 to get multiple mobile units into the market. And it's really, in my mind, if I took this and bought the area and then spent 100,000, that to me is at least 4 vehicles and a market that's pretty well on its way. A $300,000 investment with this. And then on top of that, I'm going to go and sell franchises and do some of this other stuff that we talked about. That's a nice model. I could handle this all day long. In addition to what I'm making off the units, I'm making another $76,000. Like that works all day, every day, because you got to look at it as a long-term investment. You're building a business. This isn't.
Yeah.
So that's really the difference in the models. That's the difference in kind of the big model. And in this case, this is actually designed to be a 500,000 market master partnership. And it's basically the investment of it's 500,000. And of that, there's the half of that money is going towards operations, half of it's going into the cost to do the partnership. So does that give you more understanding of the numbers?
Yes, sir. I can understand how scalable this is. Starting with a very, let's say, modest investment, and you can take it up to the sky if you want to.
Yeah, and you can do it. That's the thing why I like, for people like yourself or anybody out there that's going to put their time and energy into the business and I would work the area territory model, or if I could do the market master, I would absolutely do it. At the very least, I would look at the area, because that's the most rewarding for somebody that's really working the market. You're gonna get the most out of it, because if your marketing efforts, think about it compared to being in a single zip code and you're marketing, but you're getting people that are seeing your vehicles that are driving through that zip code.
Yeah. Yes.
You got somebody who lives in Holly Springs, and we're using Raleigh because that's where we're looking. So on the map, it's like this. You got somebody who lives in Holly Springs and they're driving to Durham. They go through a whole bunch of zip codes to get there. If the guy just has Fenton, and people are out and stop on their way home at Fenton, they see ProntoWash and they say, oh, awesome, I'm going to get ProntoWash to come to the house, or I'm going to get ProntoWash to come to my building. And then what happens is they see us, they order us, and they want us to come to their building. Unless you own the entirety of the market, then that's potentially somebody else's. And that like leverage of the territory marketing is really valuable. And that's something I want everybody to understand. Like, it's just, you get more bang for your buck with the more area, square miles, zip codes that you incorporate into your franchise agreement with us, because you get that leverage and you can grow over time. And the development on these is not, we don't have like unbearable development standards. Some companies, you couldn't do it if you wanted to. An area developer or a deal for us in a 1 million person population is 5 units in 5 years. That's nothing, right? That's Raleigh. And I'll tell you right now that Raleigh, on the company that I built before this, looks like this. Raleigh today, for that company, looks like this. That's a fact.
Wow. Wow.
And the way you go back, and they have 26 trucks here. This is showing they don't have any physical locations. So they don't have these 7 fixed. It's really just double this number. They got more of this than they have of anything fixed. And that's literally the numbers. Like, we got Raleigh up to, after the first 4 years, we were up to in this 3.5 million mark, and homegrown right here. So that when you're looking at it, obviously you have some competition here today that didn't exist before that operates at a decent level, but they're also, they're like me, they're not that aggressive in their home market as much as they used to be because they're expanding. So I think you can come in and even if you just took a portion of market share and just really expanded more of, you're looking at like your geography of being more Holly Springs based or whatever, you'll take a good chunk because you can go out the other way. There's like more territory. So that's like, so I'm telling you that those are literally the numbers for Spiffy in Raleigh, pretty damn close.
Wow. Very interesting. And yeah, one of the things I like about talking with you is that you have the experience really well, the market, and how can you take your business to the next level before anyone gets there first. So that's a big
So
plus.
It's huge for everybody to understand for me right now, because right now it's about speed. Like it's about speed to market. It's about like grabbing the markets and going, because there's more that comes with this. Like the thing I want everybody to understand, when I go over here and I'm looking at this, the thing I want everybody to understand is we end up over time like this. What's going to happen is, okay, that's all based off of car washing. So you start doing things, and this is one of the things that Spiffy does not do. Okay. They're not looking at ways to expand their visual footprint. They're not doing pop-up stuff, right? They're like not doing those things on the weekends and positioning themselves. They're not doing these. This is a trailer that has wheels on it that drops to the ground and can sit in a parking lot somewhere. They're not doing this. That's a pod essentially that has awnings that retract and stuff. They're just not doing any of this. So think about the visibility factor of being at 6 Targets in a market or 6 Costco's, or like, it's just huge, like hugely different. Like the levers that I see that we can pull over time are huge. And one of the things that's important to recognize is that when I was at Spiffy, we added oil change. Now you're doing car washing and oil change, and it's coming. I'm telling you right now, it's coming. We have a whole system for it, and I've already built it once, so I might as well build it again. So what happens is now you become like the fleet provider, right? Now I can go change people's oil and wash their vehicles simultaneously. I become a much bigger producer on the fleet side of the business. And now I can do a lot more. And for us, there's the future is we're going to have retail products. We can sell them from the stores. We can ship from people's homes. We have another level of the brand called ProntoWash Elite. So now if you're at the one place and the Ritz-Carlton wants you, oh, hey, why don't we give them ProntoWash Elite? We charge more for it, but it's got its own products. It's got its own branding. So this is the stuff that people like don't know that's coming. That's really important to understand, because now I can be in a market like an Atlanta or a Raleigh, and I can have Pronto Washes everywhere, but I also can have at really nice shopping centers, I can have ProntoWash Elite. And that's what the market is looking for. I'm telling you, I deal with property managers all the time. And we make it so easy for even our people internally, right? Digital shopping carts, all this great stuff to support the franchisees. And the training we have is amazing. The sales system, I call it the magic sales system. We literally drop them in, and then there's like it's contacting them, emailing them. So if anybody's watching this and they got a text, an email, a voicemail, and guess what? That's what you're experiencing. That's the same thing our franchisees use to go get the buildings, so they can be super successful. You're in it, by the way, guys. If you wonder how we do it, you're in it. So if you've been on the phone with me, you're watching this video, you've probably experienced what I refer to as the magic sales system. But there's a couple secrets, and it's around having city center hubs. Him and I were talking about Fenton, Atlantic Station. Those are important because you can get everywhere from them. And the other ones are airports. These are like, are big leverage points because you can wash day, night. You can use the vehicles that wash at the airport. If they're getting delivered for the morning, you use them at night, but those same vehicles can be out on the road. So you get a lot more juice for your squeeze. So now instead of having 208,000 for 2 vehicles, but the other thing I want people to understand is there's this big portion of the fleet business that I'm aware of that we have tapped into, but at a very small level that's really going to drive us. And we got joint ventures with companies like Goodyear and things like that coming up that are just absolutely amazing. So if anybody's seeing this, they're wondering how we do it, it's because we have all of this opportunity to really go and do what we call dominating the market. And it's really about having all of the spokes of the wheel, okay? All these different pieces that we can get to and make money at. And they all evolve over time and they start to compound. So like the numbers, when you see them, when we're looking at 2 mobile units, year 1 to 2, it's not like that really. And it's really hard to explain that because people, they want to look linear, they want to understand it, but you have to understand that the business doesn't grow like that. The business, which is not normal for most businesses, is the business can double and double again. And that's like, people don't get it. And it's really hard to explain it. And I just know because I've done it. I did it at Spiffy when we built Spiffy. We doubled again 4 times. We doubled sales. And if you look, I literally was just looking at them today for another little project that I was doing. And let me see, I'm going to pull it up for you guys because, and they've taken on a ton of cash, which we don't need to do. So check this out. It's actually pretty good. Let's see. I had one earlier. It was their chart.
It's very important for the investor to note that there is a plan. Like, what are the next steps from your initial investment?
Here's Spiffy's.
In order to be ahead of the competition.
Yes.
Very important. Because normally business like stall, they grow and they stall, and then what is going to take it to the next level? Oh,
It's making me do it, but I'm telling you, this chart, it was funny because I was looking at it earlier. I must have access to it some way. I'll share it with everybody. But this chart literally shows it going year over year. So I left in 2019, which is here, we're at like 30 something million. And this year their run rate is 50 million. So they're almost doubled again in just a couple of years, and COVID obviously screwed them up. But yeah, this thing grows and it grows really fast. So I'll share this article with people if they're interested. I'll pull it up a different way.
sure.
Yeah, you got to look at their chart because it was very much like us right now. We built the fundamentals of it, we got it going, and then it just went like
Exponential.
up and away. So that's the expectation that I have for ProntoWash, and to me, it's $1 billion opportunity because I have the international world and the 300 plus locations around the world, 63 slated for Saudi Arabia. I have an India deal, a UK deal. So it's just like, this thing goes like off the chain, and you're going to be a partner of mine in Raleigh and many more to come, I'm sure.
That is really exciting news because, yeah, we're really looking forward. We would like to go step by step, but I know there's a lot of potential and we have a great idea. It's all about the experience. I have a background in stores and I can see some similarities between the business models, but I know we can come together with great ideas because that's where people are looking for experience. Like, for example, your value proposition is very interesting because it goes around being eco-friendly, being mobile, no hassle, it's fast, it's good, and it's a great value proposition. Definitely.
From an investment standpoint, when I look at it, I look at this specifically. It's a big, huge $1 trillion trend in investing right now is around environmental, social, and governance. Okay, those 3 components are huge. If you look up ESG investing, right? Right now, just Google it, anybody, you'll see it's like, I don't know, 17 trillion. And it's going to go to 40 in the next few years. And it's around investing in companies that have these focuses. Okay. But you have to have all three. So like in my world, I always talk about E, S, G, and T, right? So it's, I like the little kicker of the technology that we have.
With the T.
People don't understand. There's just a lot of technology that makes all this stuff work really well. And like just I showed you with like how everybody flows through, you can imagine the complexity and what it does. And we're selling franchises, we're doing buildings and property managers, used auto, but all that stuff works together in the same system. It's crazy, the technology behind what we're doing and what we build, and the tech stack that we own, I think is even more impressive. When I look at just the app by itself, I think is absolutely amazing and what it can do. And our technicians have an app. So I don't talk about that too much, but that's like pretty amazing that our technicians are able to take before and after pictures and all. And then we have all of this systems as a service, software as a service, marketing as a service. And now we have Pronto Rewards, which is like another huge one. That's a big piece of the future, is getting people locked into the brand. And
definitely. And being recurring
sales. It's not a little brand, and it's going like huge. So I encourage people to reach out if you're seeing this. If it's the first time you're really getting a good understanding of the financials, that is a inside baseball. As I talk to my future partner, Jimmy Santos, about getting him and his family here in the US. Sharp guy, other than the UNC fan factor. I'm a Duke guy, if anybody doesn't know this. So we showed his model before. Let's go over here and we'll, if that's that, then these must be the Duke models, right? If that's the UNC model for Jimmy, then this must be, let's get some good view in here.
UNC. You're gonna make you would like, the transition to the Duke team. Yeah,
we'll get you there. Yeah, yeah. If you go to my Facebook, you'll see a big picture of the court right there for everybody to see. So I've been there many times. I'll take you to Cameron. You get your butt up here, I'll take you to Cameron.